Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hi, guys. This is going to be a fun one, or fun to me. Hi, guys. Hi. Thanks for hopping on. Definitely one that I will save because when new brands pop onto Sweetie Nail Supply, I know it's kind of hard unless you've followed that brand for a long time to know the differences between their different formulas, etc. So this is going to kind of be a explanation of this brand. Hi, Joey. If you love pots, if you love nuance, if you love Taiwanese, Japanese type style, HOHO Nail is a beautiful addition to Sweetie Nail Supply's lineup. Okay, and there's a lot on the website. So I kind of want to go over the differences between the series, tell you the differences between the O's and the H's and the different formulas that they have so you can have a better idea of what you're looking for when you go on the website. If you ever have questions about something like this, please always feel free to DM me. I am happy to help you because I know it can be overwhelming. By the way, I'm Lauren. Hi, guys. I'm typing this in now. I'm Inspo by Nails. I love everything Sweetie Nail Supply has to offer, and I'm kind of a product specialist. So I can help you determine what you're looking for and what will assist you. I'm going to send this and then I'm going to pin it. Okay. So go ahead and follow me if you don't already, and know that I am open to DMs and helping you. Okay. So HOHO Nail, you're going to see lots of beautiful designs created with really thin layers of these pots. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these for right this second because I want to show you the different things that they offer. Right now, I believe her brush is sold out, but you're going to need an application brush for her gels, right? Lots of good application brushes. We'll use a couple different ones today off Sweetie Nail Supply, so you're going to be okay. Perfect title for you, product specialist. Yeah, that's what I try to be, and I try and share what I've learned with you guys. Thank you. All right, so the biggest thing when you go on there is you're going to see a couple collections. So they're collaboration collections, and if you follow an artist like HOA, etc., you're going to see she has two different collections with HOHO Nail. All right, so this is HOA 1. Her collections are what I would call more like an H series. They're pretty opaque, okay? For a potted gel, they are pretty opaque and they're beautiful colors. Okay, so that's the HOA 01 through 12. Okay, so it's going to be these three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then above it. So let me move these out of the way for a second. Another thing you're going to want when you're playing with potted gels is a palette. You can use like a ceramic palette. You can use just a little paper palette, whatever floats your boat. But you're going to need it because you're going to keep dipping your brush into these gels. The coolest thing about potted gels too is you use a very, very little amount. This is HOA's second collaboration. This is 7 through, and it's like a very mallard type color. 7 through 12. Like they're really, really pretty. We're going to use some of those. And then if you follow the artist he also has a collaboration with them, and hers is a little bit more mixed. So there's some pigments that are a little bit more colored and some that are a little bit more sheer, like this brown. Okay. So that's another collection that's up on Sweetie Nail Supply in very natural colors. So something like this nail was made with the He collection. Okay. She also has HOHO Nail also has their own O series. Okay, so these are going to be, some are similar to the He collection. They are sheer, you can see in the cap, and buildable. So O is your sheers, H is your more pigmented colored gels. So here's a good example right here. So this is O, 17. Oh, hold on. And by the way, guys, they're easy to open pots, which we all love, right? But you can see from the cap that this is going to be a sheer one. All right. And this is H, 19. And this one, well, it also looks a little sheer, but it's more pigmented. So H is more pigmented than O, to be honest. And then they also have some special, like you'll say, well, what's A? What's M? Anything that is M is going to have some sort of glitter in it or effect. Do you see that? Really pretty. Okay, this is an M series, M02. All right, and this one is like M07. This is a beautiful, we'll use this too. This is a beautiful pearl. I don't know if you can see it there, but you'll see it on the nail. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to leave M07 out for a second because I do want to show you some of the most important pots that you might need if you're planning on playing with nuance and that kind of thing. But one last thing, the A series is going to be their cat eye. Okay? Anything with an A is going to be a cat eye. Let me show you a card from those. See these are their cat eye. And there's some darker colors too. So if you see an A, it's going to be a cat eye. And then this is the pearl collection. This is not the white. These are the other colors in the pearl. These are pearl pots. And they almost have an aurora sheen to them. Yes, I'm definitely going to show you how to use them. Or how I use them. You know, there's no rules with nuance or these types of things. You can build layers however you like. And one other thing you might need to see on the website is called the Jolie Pink or the Jolie collection. And these are where you're going to find the whites. Okay, so H is going to be your opaque white. O is going to be your sheer, okay, like a milky white. And then the M is that pearly white. So just to show you the differences there. And these are also like white base colors. So you've got an opaque pink, an opaque peach, and an opaque like yellow in that listing on Sweetie Nail Supply. So that's the thing. They don't, unless it's a collection that's a collaborative collection, you have to go pick and choose what you want to add to your cart. The other thing about using potted gels, you need a lot of potted gels to make something that looks like this, right? Because we're using lots of color to create something like that. And I'm going to show you that today, okay? So here is the milky white, which I will always use, a milky white. All right. And I'm going to take some off real quick and put it over here on my palette so I can show you what it looks like, because we're going to dip into this a lot. Always need a milky white. I also like having an opaque white because they create different things on the nail, right? They create different looks, but a lot of times you use very, very, very little of your pots, right? Here's H13, so you'll see that this one is the solid white. Like this is an opaque white. Lots of times I will use the milky white, even just to put randomly on a base of a nail because I'm using these clear nail pots, right? And then here is the pearl. I'll show you that too. And it is a very, very beautiful pearl. Let's just go right in with this real quick. When you are using a potted gel, lots of times you use very, very little. These are going to last you a very, very, very long time. Let me just show you what I mean. Okay, so I have some on the nail. This is actually a lot, but I want to create a little texture with this pearl and make it thinner in some areas, thicker in others. And I am just dabbing it on the nail. Let's see if you guys can see that pearly sheen. You can't really, but trust me, it's there. All right. You can go sideways, you can go up and down, you can create texture by pushing your brush. You can make some areas more opaque and some areas more sheer. All right, we're gonna cure that. This is a very easy way to show you the opacities by putting them right on top of this color. The thing is, you use very little potted gel and you build little layers. You build texture by adding different pots and different colors. So let's say we want to add O in this orange, and let's use this blue. Okay, these are both O series, so I know they're going to be sheer and they're going to lay over top that white really, really easily. All right. Oh, that one's a little messy. All right. She also has pigments. Okay, so they're really beautiful. She has some chromes and she has 3 inks up on Sweetie Nail Supply's website. So when we are dipping into another color, I am taking, like, seriously, the smallest amount, just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay. And we are going to lay that right over top of this. All right, up. Maybe heavier in some areas, lighter in some others. You can see the pearl showing through. You can wipe your brush, get the excess paint off, and drag it out even more. Okay. It's like tap, tap, tap. While it's still wet, they're cat-eye magnetic as well, correct? So different formulas depending on what you pick from the options that are on Sweetie Nail Supply. Some are more opaque and some are more sheer. You can go back, we will save this, and I explain what colors and what series are a little bit more sheer. And I don't mean clear, I mean like milky, like a syrup. Some are more opaque. Okay. So it depends on which colors you choose. You have to go and pick which colors. We're going to use some of the collections though too. But see, you can easily blend out these syrups. All right. Tap, tap, tap. Syrups and Japanese and Taiwanese pots, they melt into one another beautifully. You do a lot of work while wet. Okay. Like, let's say we want some more of that blue to be a little bit more prominent. Let's pick up a little bit more and just melt it in there. And you do very thin layers of color. Very, very, very thin. You can see that this is very thin. No, there's only some magnetic polishes that are up on the site, and they begin with an A. Okay, so some are magnetic, but most are not. They do have some magnetic polishes, though. All right, so tap, tap, tap till your heart's content. You could just flash this. We don't have to do a full cure. If you want to add more layers, let's go ahead and do it. Let me move it away from my pots. I do not want to cure my pots. That would make me cry. Yeah, no problem. If I skip over something, if you had a question and I didn't get to you, please be sure that you ask me. I'll ask at the end, but if I miss something, just feel free to DM me, okay? Now I'm going in with this darker brown. I don't know about you guys, but I really like browns and nuance because a lot of times you're creating looks that look like stone, etc. So 014 is going to be one of those sheer browns where we can highlight some color. Like, look. All right, so we're deepening up that color. Just adding a little bit more. And the coolest thing about this too is you can go in and add light right over top of it again. Like, remember I took that milky white. I'm taking some of that and I'm adding it back into where I don't like the blend, or I want to hide the blend a little bit. All right, so it's really, there's the opaque white. You see the difference? It's really just a game of playing around, tapping different colors into one another. All right, we can cure this. And let's move on to like one of the collections. So maybe a collection is a good place to start if you're not used to pots. All right, I did a couple reels, actually a lot of reels. Tortoise shell, yes, you could do tortoise shell looks. Let's take the HOA collaboration. Let's take the first three. So I'm just going to show you these three and how you could blend them onto a nail. If you buy her full collection, you're going to get 6 colors, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. If you go to their page, or you go to HOA's page, the artist who collaborated this, you will see lots of designs used with just these 6 colors. So it would give you a very good place to start. And I will show you what I mean. They melt, melt, melt into one another. So we're going to take 3 of these pots. We're going to take 1, 2, and 3. And this is perfect for the season, nice and mauvey. And look at that one. I mean, see? These are a little bit more opaque, and you're going to see in just a second why I say that. All right. First, we're going to start with the lightest color, and that is 1. And this is like a gorgeous ivory. I really, really love this color. And we are going to put it on the nail and just let it be. All right, doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because we're going to be dragging. I'm wiping my brush just off on the palette, just getting most of that off. I'm going to go in with 2. Just a little bit will do. You don't need very much. All right, and we are going to put some of that on. All right, don't worry about it yet. We're going to drag after we go in and put all 3 colors on. But this is one of the easiest things you can do with pots, and to learn how your pots cooperate with one another. All right, it's a very light hand, very, very light. You could get away with 1 coat. You really could. So I am just now taking these colors and letting them do their thing. Sometimes I'm going to get some white on my brush, and that's okay. You can bring that back up if you want to make an interesting, nuanced type look. But these gels are playing with one another, right? They are melting into one another. Look at them. They're just beautiful. In a very, very, very easy look. If you want to add a little bit more of a solid, go ahead and do it. This is all while wet. All right, and you've got a solid, opaque nail in 1 coat. All right. This is what these pots are known for. Right? They create dramatic looks very, very, very quickly. And the more you play with them, the more comfortable you will become. Trust me. The more you play, the more you'll love them. Right, so let's take a little bit of opaque white, just to show you another one. And I'm putting this down because clear nails are very hard. That's not what our nails look like, right? Our nails have color underneath them. So I am just going to cure that for this second, just so we have a little bit more on here, and show you another way to play with them. Let's see here. This guy's done. You do not have to be finished with your nail. Like you could go in and add another layer if you want to. You can add some depth if you want to. You can add some ink if you want to. That's the thing about nuance. You can do whatever your heart desires. For example, let's look at her pigments. So these are going to be metallic pigments that you would use with a gel cleanser, right? So I'll show you. Wait, let me see what this one's called before I open it. It's called Matte Bright Gold. Okay. I don't want to put this everywhere. So what happens when you're using these pigments, you can burnish them into areas if you want to. I'll show you. This nail has a tacky layer right now. So we can take a little bit of this gold if we want to, and we can burnish it into the sticky. All right, you can do that. You can totally do that. But if you want to use it in a liquid way, you need to have a brush and you need to have some gel cleanser. Alcohol is going to evaporate way too quickly. So does acetone. So gel cleanser is probably your best bet. All right. And I am just going to pick up some of this pigment. Can you see it on the nail? On the brush. All right. Now we're going to use it in a liquid way. You see what it does? It separates like that. You can use more gel cleanser to move it around if you want. Or move it out of areas where you don't want it. Okay, so you have it solid where it's burnished in there. Whatever I can get my hands on. I'm not picky about my gel cleansers. Right now I think I'm using Diame's. But use what you got. All right, so that just took that little nail, which was very cute. Honestly, if we had put a top coat on it, you'll see all those different details, etc. But now we have this going on, okay, because of her gold pigment. And there's gold, there's copper, there's different colors to choose from. I really do love pigments. You'll find other pigments from Palette Keras on Sweet and Nail Supply. They're like those pigment powders. All right. So all you need to do is be patient enough to let that gel cleanser dry, and then we'll put a top coat on here. I'm really not even following any of the examples that I did previously, because I think every time you play with these kinds of things, they turn out differently. Honestly. You just have to go with your nuance and enjoy it. Let's put a top coat on so you can see what I mean. So we've got a pearl base. We've got sheer colors over top. We've got gold. Actually, if I was wearing this, I would do a clear coat first because of the pigment. If you have pigment at the edge, definitely file. Right? You want something to be able to grab. All right, but it's very, very pretty. Very, very easy. Yeah, a clear builder, then a top, but for sake of time, let's just do this. All right. And it looks like a very complicated nail, but you guys saw that it is not. Right? You can whip out a lot of designs very quickly using these types of pots. All right, and every nail can be different. All right, so we got that one done. Let's put a top coat on this one. If you want to go back in and do something more, you can. I just wanted to show you how you can blend them all in one coat. But again, I feel like the more you play with nuance and these types of products, the more comfortable you'll become. Right? They are different than using a bottled gel for sure. They have that pigmentation and you can use so little of it. Here, let's use some of the Heat collection because they're very, 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 very light, very pretty. Let's use those natural colors. Honestly, all of them are pretty. I'm very excited about this brand. I feel like they really do give you a dynamic looking nail very, very quickly. So here is the HE collection. Okay, so you can see, and you're like, oh, it's another ivory. This ivory is going to be much lighter than the ivory in the HOHO HOA collection. This one's opaque. This one's more a sheer yellow. Okay, let's take some of this minty color. All right, like a sage green. And listen, if you take it heavy, right, you can build up some serious color. But they're all quite thin. And we're going to play with this while it's still wet, okay? Let's use some of this little gray. It's like a sandy color. I put color swatches on top because my pots live in a drawer. So when I open the drawer, I want to see just by looking. Listen, they can be very close, the color swatch at the top, but I like to see the real color on top of mine, which is why I do this. Because I look in the drawer and think, oh yeah, that's the one I want, real quick. All right, see this taupey brown? Like a sandy beige. Now you see that there. And it does take a little getting used to where you want to put things, but the more you play around with it, the more you will find your style. Taking a little bit of that, let's take a little bit of this sheer yellowish beige. Okay. This one is actually a little bit more pigmented. And look, guys, I'm putting it right on top of what we just did, right? I want these areas to show different things. I like leaving brush strokes and textures, right? It just gives you depth, to be honest. All right, let's use all of them. And we're going to go in with that brown later. Oh, oops, hold on. I had a flippy top. Look at this one. That's what I mean. Very, very, very natural colors. Everything's still wet on the nail. Something else you will notice, it's not going anywhere. Okay, where I put that gel is where it's staying. They might slightly blend into one another if I'm pulling the brush, but in general, they're going to stay put. Do you see how that color even just layered over the ivory? This is what pots can do that most of our regular gels cannot. And the funny thing is, all the pots are different. So all the different brands are different. So I know it's not fair, but it's definitely true. They're all a little bit different. And what I mean by not fair is because then you need a lot of them. But depending on what you want to do. But it's kind of cool that they all have their own formulas. All right, this is a good base, right? We got a lot going on here. Let's give it a cure. Then we're going to transform it by layering colors. And here, I'm going to take this off the little stand to show you what our first little nail looked like. Do you see the depth that's in there? Just by adding different layers and then adding the gold pigment to it. Like I said, you're going to get a smooth finish if you burnish it in, and you're going to get a more liquid, fluid feeling if you use it with gel cleanser. Okay? Alrighty. All right, good enough. Now let's start with playing with this. Okay, this is that brown. This is a very dark brown. But that will depend on how we use it. If we use very little of it, I'm just taking a little tiny bit. All right. It is soft. It is sheer. So you see, you can use it very gently, and it's just going to tint this color a little bit. Wiping off my brush. And just pouncing it around is going to give this nail serious texture. By leaving it heavier in some places, lighter in others. Do you see what that just did? Very, very easily. I got a little dot on there. That's okay though. All right. Let's say you want to lighten up this area. Get some more light. I'm not really sure what you're asking me. Sorry, you'll have to send it to me. Trust me, if you follow my page, you're going to see a lot of nuance tutorials. I'm a little addicted to them. I just think it's very, very interesting how you can get such a unique design with just a few little dabs of paint. All right, we need something going on down here. But this texture is very cool. And then I'm going to show you one of her inks. Maybe a little bit more brown. Maybe we'll do it heavier. Let's get some for real. For real, for real. And this is what I mean. Like me trying to decide where I want to put things is just from playing with these gels and playing with nuance often, right? Where I want things darker, where I want things lighter. The more you guys play, the more comfortable you'll become with that. All right. If you want to soften anything out, then just pull it out. You use your brush a lot with these looks. A lot. But the cool thing is, if you want to lighten something up again, you can do that. And these little dabs of other color on top are what create depth when we put that top coat on. You will see all these different layers. Okay. And try, if you have other colors, you can go use them. You can use white. You can use a caramel, like that caramel brown, etc. So let's just cure this for a second, and then let me show you the inks. Okay, so HOHO nail inks are alcohol inks. I know I get that question. There is a difference between alcohol inks and water inks. Right? Oh boy. Now I've mixed up my tops. That's not good. There might be one. There's definitely a difference between alcohol inks and water inks. And these are alcohol. So you are going to use acetone or gel cleanser to move it. And these are the 3 that are available. I'm not sure actually if all of them are available. The brown might be gone. Granite surfaces with mica. Yeah. You can get beautiful stone looks with these types of products. So right now there's a white. Okay, there's a brown, which is what we're going to use. And there's a gold. Okay. Nice fat bottles, so they are not easy to tip, which is awesome. And I am just going to use this right on the sticky layer. It's fine. And when you're using inks, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen me do this before, but you do not use a lot, okay? You want to wipe most of it off your brush before taking it to the nail. You see that? Of course, we're not going to leave it that way. All right. We are going to take some gel cleanser because that's what we were using. And we're going to soften this up. And see what's happening here. We want a little bit of that edge. It instantly gives it a lot more depth over here from adding that ink. Again, you can go back in and you can adjust. If you want to add some more light colors, you can do that. Okay. Let's say you want to add a little bit of white areas. Go ahead and do that. Maybe you want the ivory from the HOA. This is a little bit more pigmented, HOA 1. And I'm almost just dry brushing some on, okay? Just to give it even more depth when we put that top coat on. Remember, you can use your brush horizontally as well as vertically. All right, we are going to cure this because I did put more gel on there. I'm using a mix of the collaboration with He Nail. So they look like this, HOA He, there's 6 colors from there. And I also grabbed the collaboration with HOA, which is 01. This ivory is so good. Very universal, right? Ivory is always good in a stone nail. And then we used a little bit of her brown ink. But these are great. I believe that HOHO Nail offers like 6 colors. Oh, thanks, Joey. Quick temporary fix of my nails because they really needed to come off. They've grown out way too much. You will also find like a builder from her and a few chromes. I'll show you. Again, if you're wearing this, because we put pigments and well, we didn't put pigments this time, but we did put inks. I would do a clear layer, then the top coat, but for saving time, we're just going to put a top coat on. Because that is when the beauty of a nuanced nail starts showing, because then you can see all that detail. Guys, you can combine blues and oranges and whites and like the sky's the limit. So you need to slowly build up your pot collection because every little dab of color counts. That's the thing. And like I said, different brands do have different formulas. They all can kind of do the same thing. Here. But they are different. But how pretty is that? Just by dabbing things on there. Right? Do you guys... Oh, I'm getting messages. Looks like some newness has hit Sweetie Nail Supply. So check that out. When you check these out, use your favorite brand ambassador's code to save a little if you need that. If you need a code. We all have one. Oh, so glad you like it. Here, I want to show you also something else. Here, let's do this. Let's do another one like this. I want to show you this because it's really pretty. So don't forget about the ones that have glitter. They're really, really pretty. So here's the O12. This is a very light sheer blue. Doesn't look like it in the pot, but it is. It's the O series, so they're a little lighter. You can see it here. When you get these guys, give them a little stir, just a little bit. They don't really need a ton of it. Not like when you get potted cat eye. Those definitely need it. Yes, layers and dimension are so good, right? All right, so we're using some blue at the bottom. All right, and I don't worry about it being super even with nuance in general because I'm going back and adding so many different things. So I just put a little bit on there. Let's find our Milky White. So Milky White is again going to be not O15. O15. Oh, I know exactly what you're asking about. It's still there. That's Albacal's. This is the tip gel, the caramel tip gel. This is by Blanc Blanc. Yep. And it would look like this on a nail stand. Yep, it's still up. Just go look up Blanc Blanc. That's the brand. Lots of times, guys, if you're having trouble finding something on Sweetie Nail Supply, if you know the brand, that's a good place to start because it can get a little confusing. All right, so I only took that up to here. I'm going to do white, and we're going to just kind of blend it in, kind of not. All right, just a little. There's a little overlap there. All right, but we're leaving it kind of swirly, marbly, right? Yeah, I know Sweetie Nail Supply products. It's my job. I do know them all. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, it's great. It lasts a really long time. And then it doesn't look like these little white tips that I have on here. I actually need to redo some of mine because they've been on there for so long. Okay, what we're going to do is show you one of these little glitters. I wanted to show you like this. Okay, this is so beautiful. Layered in there. All right, there's a bunch of these. Yeah, Joey knows her products too. She does. We discuss them all, right? All right, let's go. I am going to grab some of this right from here. I just want to show you what's going to happen if we put, you see this? And there's some other glitters too. If I'm missing anything that you guys want to know about, just let me know. I think we've covered almost everything. But I cured that. Then I'm putting this layer of like shell on there. I'm going to go back in with some white. You can use, this is now the opaque white. This is what I mean by the difference. If I put some opaque white here, and I'm looking through my lens, so forgive me if I'm off center, because that's harder for me. All right. See that white? Can always also take like a mixing clear if you want. Mixing clears are great. Does this nuance style work well with pinks and purples too? It can work with anything, of course. Doesn't have to be natural colors. It just happens this brand uses a lot of like natural tone colors. But yeah, I think one thing people have to remember with playing with nuance sometimes is the length of the nail and where you're placing things. That can affect your look. Sometimes one that's like super long may not look as great because they use a lot of natural length nails in nuance nail designs. Now I'm using that darker blue. Actually, I'm not. I'm using that same blue. I picked up that same blue. I just want to make it a little bit in certain areas. I'm covering it up. And then I'm going to use one of the HOA darker colors. More opaque. A little bit. This just gives a layering just by doing some areas lighter, some areas darker. All right, very, very, very simple. You can go back in with that shimmery color again. You could use one of the shimmery colors. I'll show you the number again. Make it heavier in some areas if you want. All right, but I'll show you what's going to happen here. We're going to cure this. I think I just touched it, but whatever. It's fine. It's nuance. It's fine. Blue's very nice. Honestly, all the colors are super pretty. Again, if you have questions about a certain color, just ask me. I will shoot you over a picture. I should probably show you their what do you call it? Cat eye too, real quick. Here, let me get one that's not. It's not. Where is their cat eye? I had it out. Here's one example. Okay, it's a shimmery cat eye. This is A1. So the A's are going to be the cat eye. So if we find an A series, it's going to be a cat eye. Let me just show you real quick a pull from it. All right. Letting my brush down, getting a magnet. Really nice and glittery. All right, you can see it. With a little bit of a pink. You see the pink? Magnetic. There's a second color. So their magnets are nice and strong too, either any way that you look at this. All right, so that's an A series. Woo, I had a magnet clip to another magnet. Scared me. But I think we went through everything. Oh, wait. No, I want to show you one other thing. And I need to show you a finish on these. Okay, so this has a clear over top. Don't forget when you're playing with nuance, if you want something to stand out a little bit, even a little bit more, you can add a 3D clear to the top. Okay, so let's put a regular top coat on here. You see that pink aurora kind of shining through this very gently. Now, all right, we're going to just cure that. So the whole nail would be in a top coat. And then let's go in with a 3D element. Or we could do that even with this one, this cutie patootie. Because what's going to happen is it's going to magnify the area that you put the 3D over top. It's going to show, here, it's going to show you, one of my favorite 3D clears is going to be Art Icing from Meet You. It's a good one. It's nice and thick. But but yet easy. Another one that you could use is the new Zombie King. That's pretty good too for a 3D blob. I think I showed you guys that when we went live with that. Yeah. All right, ready? Here we go. So I have some clear on here. You see it? Here's what happens when you put a little 3D element on top. Do you see how it breaks up, and you can, and this will eventually just settle here, but it's going to break the line of light, and it does kind of magnify different areas of the nail. So you'll see a lot of that in nuance, especially if you're using a metallic element. Okay, because that is going to really exacerbate that element. I'll show you on this little one. See what happens is this. If I put a chunk of 3D here, do you see how it's going to break the line of light and magnify certain areas? So yeah, that is exactly why they do it. All right, it gives it more dimension just by adding that 3D clear. All right, it's an easy breezy way to do that. I hope that this has helped you guys a little bit in the fact that you can use these in so many different ways, and given you an idea of what collections look like and what the series look like. We are definitely going to save this. All right, here's the white ink, just so you can see it. And this is right over top a clear, a top coat. So you can use it either way. You can use it over matte. You can use it over just right on the sticky layer. See what happens when I touch it with the gel cleanser? See it built up right there? All right. Let's do the gold so you can see that too. Can't have enough white inks. White inks. And everybody's inks are different too, you guys. Not fair, but true. You wanted to achieve that look. Is there another brand you can recommend that carries those colors? You know what, REI? I'm just seeing that question. Hit me up in DMs and I'll show you some brighter colored pots so you could achieve it with that, and I can send you the links if you're still on here. I don't know. All right, see this gold? All right, it's like I don't know how to describe it. Sorry. A greenish gold. I'm using Diame's gel cleanser right now. I use whatever I can get. Whatever I can get my hands on. Okay, so that's it, guys. Watch. Well, we have to wait for the inks to dry. Remember, these are alcohol inks, all right? There's a difference between alcohol inks and water inks. Alcohol inks are going to be a little bit more versatile because they move differently than water inks. All inks are amazing and also definitely worth looking into, but they definitely move differently. Actually, all brands of gel are different. Every ink brand's different. But in general, an alcohol ink is kind of like, if you want to do marbling, you need an alcohol ink. Can you do it with water inks? Yeah, but you got to be pretty good with inks to be able to get that going. They're a little bit more like, those are better for quick nuance and adding splashes of color than for detailed stuff. But now we have a lot more going on here. We have those sheer blues. We have different opacities of the white. We have that Aurora glitter. Remember, that is M02. There's 6 different ones. All right, they're beautiful. And then we have the 2 inks. And we're all done. I'm going to save this for you guys. Did I miss any questions? I could play with nuance nails all day long because they're really, really fun. And we have so much that's available to us now. This used to be difficult because we did not have access to these beautiful brands. So everybody clap and thank Sweetie Nail Supply for the access to all these beautiful brands that are being brought into us, because it makes creating looks like this very, very simple. All right. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it to my page. I'm going to save it to Sweetie Nail Supply's page. They then go take it and save it to their YouTube so that you can access it with easier playback. That's why we like to keep it like to an hour or under. All right, but this gives you an overview of this brand of pots. We've also gone live, I think, with Mayan B pots, maybe. Other pots, we have Palette Keras. There's so many beautiful brands at Sweeties. So if you have questions, just let me know. But, yeah, all right. I will talk to you guys super soon. And thanks again. And I hope it's almost Friday, right? So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.